All right, it's Wednesday, May 24th, 5:27 p.m. Gonna start with a quote as usual. Search for the seed of good in every adversity. Written by O.G. Mandino. I think this guy wrote The Greatest Salesman in the World book, so I guess that rings true to his message. Because, hey, you're going to prison. Maybe something good is going to happen to you instead of. But yeah, search for the seed of good in every adversity. So yeah, everything happens for a reason, I guess. That's another way to put it. I have two things. There's this I've been reading today. I spent 2 hours reading stuff online and all these articles about AI and what's going to happen in the future and VCs changing the way they invest and solo GPs and there's just so much stuff. And the funny thing is, because I just decided to subscribe to a lot of Substacks and different newsletters, they get very repetitive. That's one thing I noticed. But I guess you'd expect the internet and the tech internet to have a lot of breadth, but I guess not. Anyway, I have t-shirt things today for you. One thing is an article by Jason Fried, and Jason Fried, he's a CEO of Basecamp. What is Basecamp? Figure it out yourself, I guess. No, Basecamp is this, I think it's this HR tool, right? Let's check it out. Software company based in Chicago. Web-based project management and collaboration tool. I guess it has something to do with HR, but basically project organization, communication, file sharing. That's ChatGTP helping me out here. But yeah, this is his statement on killing the overkill. So here the article. Here's how it goes. Business is often seen as the art of acquisition, acquiring talent, customers, revenue, profits, mind share, market share. Building and growing requires consumption, addition, parlaying some onto this into a lot of that. But the smartest businesses, the ones that tend to stick around for the long haul, know that existence is also about avoidance. Avoiding carrying variable costs, avoiding getting involved with things that aren't core to your business, avoiding spending time on things that don't matter, avoiding bad investments, avoiding people who don't help you prosper, and even avoiding customers who aren't the right fit. However, there's something more fundamental to avoid. It would be easy to call it complexity, but that's not quite it. Complexity can be necessary, and intricacy can be quite beautiful. Just share into a Moorish mosaic. And you'll know it. So complexity isn't the issue. Overkill is the issue, right? So you're thinking about acquiring, just kind of grow, but you can overkill it. There is basically there's a law, right, of diminishing returns. You hire many people, you overthink all the shit that you're doing. So overkill is the issue. He gives a lot of examples of what overkill is. For example, overkill is using 5 different products to run a single project. Overkill is a 7-stage interview process that exhausts everyone involved. Overkill is acting. Fuck, man, that's so. Yeah, so many companies do this. Yeah, I had 7-stage interview processes. Just do 3. If you think there's a match, try. I know there is there is this element of investment and then sunk costs because you hired the wrong person and oh shit, you need to go over again. But the good news is there are 3 interviews, right? You have to do a 7-stage interview again. So maybe consider a bit proponent. I think 3 is good. 1 is hiring manager, right? 2 be a case study, and so the first hiring manager is more soft, whatever. Hey, how are you doing? Who are you? Do we like each other? Could we work together? Is there some chemistry, right? And because that's assuming that the CV was screened and there is applicable experience that this candidate has. So what? Two would be a case study, right? Let's see if they, let's make them sweat. Let's see what they can do, and then have a case study presentation. Because I think the presentation part is important. Some companies don't do the presentation; just kind of look through the case study, say, okay, pass, not pass. Let the candidate present their presentation, and have I guess the hiring manager, one or two additional people from the team joining, so they can also kind of get a vibe for each other. Leave like I would say like do 30 minutes of interviewing. Oh, sorry, of like give the candidate like 30-20 minutes for like just doing the whole presentation, questions. 30 minutes could be enough, and then an additional 15 minutes for the candidate to ask questions to the team or about the case study, etc. So, and the third one would be like it's like a CEO interview, or like principles, culture, and then that person is, and then like if they're really important and they're like core to the team, fly them over, like make sure they meet everyone, and like if they, but other than that, like just fucking like, yeah, don't overkill it. That's my little rant about hiring, because I went through a bunch of these and it was a complete waste of, not a waste of time. I learned a bunch of stuff and I'm grateful for them, but it could have been done a bit differently. Anyway, overkill is buying what they bought, but that you don't need. Companies of course do that. Overkill is paying thousands for something worth hundreds. Overkill is hoping that losing more will turn into a win. I guess that's a lot of startups, right? Just burning VC money, hoping that, hey, well, if we burn more money, at some point we're gonna win. Let's do a few more. So yeah, avoiding overkill is the real cheat code. That's how you jump levels. It's how you make a lot more progress with a lot less effort. So what is, again, going back to the different overkills. Overkill is the dust that settles on the stuff that took a lot of energy to build or buy, but turned out to not be necessary. The over-engineered, over-designed, over-hired, over-litigated, and overspent, over-promised, over-deliberated. Over. I guess overkill is the policy that was written but never enacted. Man, like some companies think of this incredibly stupid shit. Like, hopefully you hired people smart enough to know how to act in most situations, right? Like, you have to have a policy for everything. Just assume human decency, and if someone is an asshole or steals your company resources, just fucking fire them. Dude, you have to have a policy for everything. And yeah, I know, easier said than done, and like, people need guidelines, like, I'm flying to San Francisco for a team meetup, like, how much should I spend for the hotel? Or, like, how much would you spend if you were spending your own money, right? Just look up what's, like, the average, and, like, average spend, I guess, on, like, hotels in San Francisco, and go for that. Use your brain, and just common sense. I think common sense is something that companies miss or like lose when they get bigger. And I'm curious, how does it happen? Like, do you just hire people that are more incompetent the bigger you get, or people will decide that, like, we're so big now, I can hide my lack of or just my dishonest behavior. Like, this is an interesting topic. Anyway, I'm not gonna, I guess, find an answer here for you. Just spitballing. The technology that was purchased that was never used. Well, you know what? Like, sometimes you buy something. Yeah, okay, whatever. The 7 steps that could be handled in 2. The 9 people in a meeting made for 3. Oh, fuck, man. Like, there's so many people that have FOMO. Like, and I guess it's because there's a lot of lack of, like, there's no context culture and poor communication in certain companies. And that's why people want to be in meetings. Because if every meeting had some sort of, like, TLDR or, like, a note that you'd post or, like, share, or the outcome was shared with the company, people want to be like, oh, fuck it, I don't need to go to that meeting, I'll know what happened after, right? And, like, that's the thing, that's the issue, is get, like, some AI plugin or whatever to just take notes, just connect it to your Google Meets or Zoom, and then you have a transcript, and maybe don't share the whole transcript, but like put the transcript in ChatGTP, ask it to summarize, and say that this is going to be shared company wide. So if there's any confidential shit, just like don't put it into the summary, and then publish it. Done deal. Yeah, the business equivalent of the 12-bedroom house for a family of 4. Oof, but like, come on, like I would, yeah, family of 4, 12 bedrooms. I think it's still a stick. If you can buy a palace and you're a baller, just go for it. But sometimes you gotta go big. Like sometimes it's about just just go big. Anyway, the cooks when you don't even have a kitchen. Okay, some of these examples are just fucking weird. I read this one. Okay, yeah, so now we're 24 years, so I guess in Basecamp's 24 years, or his 24 years as a business person, I guess. There's nothing we've tried to avoid more at 37 Signals than overkill. In the things we do, in the way we work, in the things we buy, in the things we use, and especially in the products we make for ourselves, and our customers. Basecamp and Hey are built to do what they need to do. So every day is an opportunity to find just right, to toss that policy that's in the way, to slim down the stack, to sharpen things up. Yeah, sharpen the fuck up. Like really, it's just like this. All this thing about policy, more rules, more meetings. It's a de-risking policy, and it's just like making sure that people think that they're productive. Like, you know, if you really were to sharpen things up and see like who is like really kind of just grinding and adding the value that they're supposed to be adding, you know, the 80-20 rule. Yeah, like, not surprised that, you know, they had a lot of redundancies in the past year in all these tech companies. Yeah, anyway. To eliminate the work that doesn't need to be done, to polish the scratched glass so you can see through again. Amass what you need, but ignore even more. Kill, overkill. I guess, yeah. Ignore. And it's I guess there are a bunch of things to unpack here, and I've already had my little rant, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Second article, I just read this and I was like, what the fuck? Because like it was in this one, it was in this TLDR newsletter that I read, and I really recommend it. But this guy, like, he got a lot of visibility for writing an article basically saying, like, yeah, failure, sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not okay. So, rethinking this failure narrative, a case against failure in entrepreneurship. And he says, like, yeah, okay, failure is like, when the fear of failure fades completely, complacency creeps in, robbing us of efficiency and sparking stagnation instead of progress. Yeah, like, you shouldn't be just, like, well, I guess if you have like a lot of money from like Andreessen or Sequoia or whatever, maybe you don't care. But I mentioned these two VCs because they both invested in, you know, very crypto, like just any crypto companies that failed spectacularly or, yeah, we're just, so anyway. But yeah, he mentions resource drain. Consider this: each time we fail, it comes with a cost. Every unsuccessful project, yeah, like duh, like every failed startup, like yeah, failure does cost money, of course, energy, and so failure is not failing, falling down, but refusing to get up. Yeah, like none of these people are just failing and just kind of saying, oh, I'm quit. The problem is that they fail, or they think they fuck up and they say, oh, it's fine, whatever, like we'll burn more money. There's psychological impact when there's like repeated failures can become a cycle of defeat. Like, so basically he's just saying there's this issue of normalizing failure. Danger lies in the potential normalization of failure. While it's critical not to fear failure, glorifying it lead to complacency. Yeah, striking a balance. So where does this leave us? Fear of failure isn't a weakness. It's a silent motivator that pushes us to improve and evolve. So We don't have to romanticize failure, but we don't need to dread it either. Let's strike a balance. Let's absorb the lessons from our setbacks. Let's always set our eyes on the prize, success. Did ChatGTP write this shit for you, man? Like, it's just like a ball of nothing. And yeah, like basically, failure, avoid it if you can, but it happens. Just pick yourself up and move on. Um, it's so funny, right? Like all these, there's so much content. Twitter, LinkedIn. There should be something like a little, like it should be a plugin for Google Chrome or for any browser, I guess, where you can just kind of see, oh, this was most probably generated by ChatGTP, or before you even read this article, it just like ChatGTP summarizes and says like, oh, this article says fucking nothing. Move on. I love a thing like this. Anyway, these are my thoughts for today. It's what I read. Another day, right? Another day. And yeah, search for the seed of good in every adversity. That's the quote for today. I'm going to leave it at that. Have a good one.